Welcome to Neurodivergent Life, a podcast dedicated to those who live neurodivergently in a world that doesn't understand that we see and process things differently. Despite what society may try to imply, there's nothing wrong with being neurodivergent. Sometimes it can even give you an advantage. You can find more at neurodivergentlife.substack.com. Disability interviews. The system is not dependable. Having conditions that impede your ability to hold down a job is problematic enough. Many people take their ability to work for granted. You hear it all the time in just about every workplace. People complain that they'd rather be doing something else. Everyone dreams of having the ability to do whatever, whenever, without having to have the responsibility that comes with working a regular job. Some people venture out with an entrepreneurial mindset and start their own businesses. Most fail for one reason or another. Then they're back at the job and dreaming of something better. Some go from one job to another in search of better pay, hours, or benefits. What they all have in common is the ability to work, but not always the mindset to work. It's different when your life is complicated by a disability. Everything was going all right, for the most part, and then something happens that changes everything. Maybe it was sudden. Perhaps it was gradual. Either way, there comes a point when working for a paycheck from an established business is no longer an option. There are two major types of disabilities. Before you start yelling at me, I know that there are a lot of different types of disabilities. What I'm referring to here are the seen and the unseen. The visual verification of a disability makes it easier for someone to look at you and confirm that you are disabled, whatever form that may be. Perhaps blindness, or being in a wheelchair, or something else. I don't know what would qualify as a physical disability as a definite. Being blind doesn't automatically keep you from being able to work, nor does being in a wheelchair. For some it does, and for others it doesn't. It depends on the individual. Having a seen disability might mean a lot less explanation is required. They are less likely to be questioned and doubted about their inability to work. More likely is being questioned about their ability to work. When people can see, or think they see, what could be holding you back, they are usually willing to accept your status. Disabilities aren't always something people can see just by looking at you. There are invisible disabilities, and those who have them get tired of having to explain them. There's the feeling of being judged because you're not in the workforce. There are the whispers you hear when you walk past someone. The looks from people who have decided, based on how you appear, that you're lazy and riding the system. The doubt of the unseen disability. Having a disability that people can't readily identify with their own eyes constantly raises doubts. It raises doubts in the minds of people you used to work with. It raises doubts among those who have the power to approve or deny your benefits. It raises doubts in your own mind, especially when you have several good days in a row. The people who only see you for a short time while you're feeling well might think that everything is all right. They may even ask you when you're going back to work, or if you've tried getting a part-time job. Part of you wants to explain to them that you're not doing all that well. You're only shopping today because it has been a good day. They don't understand how much effort is going into doing that little bit of shopping. When you get home, things are different. The short time you were out took a toll on your mind and body. You can barely muster the energy to do simple tasks. It's only those who live with you or spend a good deal of time around you that see the unseen. The unseen manifests itself physically. When it does, those who have an invisible disability are usually not in a condition to share it with others. It's not something that we show off as proof. It hurts. It's exhausting. It's debilitating. Rest is required. Disability interviews. When you're on the receiving end of the disability interviews, it feels more like an inquisition or an interrogation. You're asked to perform certain tasks, the same plain tasks that are asked of just about anyone. Your ability or inability to carry out those tasks will have an impact on whether or not the interviewer will recommend you for disability. For anything related to a mental state, or not physical, there's also a psych evaluation. I had both the physical and psychological evaluations done on the same day. The physical one came first. Basic stuff, walk in various manners, a quick eye exam, strength tests, reflexes, etc. I hadn't been awake or active for very long, so in my case, I didn't have the tremors I usually have after being active. The doctor had me try to touch my toes. That wasn't happening, but I haven't been able to touch my toes since I was little. That issue is another story for another time. A few hours later came the psychological evaluation. I didn't get a chance to take a nap and recharge, so I was not doing very well. Things only got worse as the questions came. Asking about my job history, every job I've ever had. Well, I could remember some of the early ones and the most recent ones, but there were years in between that were blank. I remembered some afterward, but it didn't matter. The more questions were asked, the more my body started to shake. Then I was asked to write a sentence. I fought against the shaking to the point where I was able to write the sentence. And I wrote exactly what the interviewer said. I don't think she appreciated the literalism. People can be too stuffy sometimes. At the end of the interview, she indicated that she had a certain time frame to write her report and decide if I deserved disability. Deserved